Good afternoon, welcome to another video. As you can see, back down a small river. The reason is we've had some rain, quite a lot of it over a 24-hour period. And as you can probably see from the colour of this, it's very different to last time I was here. The Avon at the moment is right up, so I did think about going down there. Hopefully, perhaps in the next day or two we can get down the Avon. Excuse me for being a bit croaky still got this cold, which I've had for weeks. But yes, this looks cracking. There's probably 4 to 6 inches of visibility. In new money, about that much. And I've come out today really, being that it's February, with Chub and Roach in mind. Does look good conditions for some Roach, but yeah, happy to catch some Chub as well. So that's what's on the agenda today. I did think perhaps, because it is dropping, perhaps we might get to do some trotting, but it's certainly not clear enough for that. But again, maybe tomorrow or the day after, possibly. So bearing in mind we're legering, I have my Drennan specialist twin tip duo, 12-foot, £1.5 test curve. It'll do great in here when we need, similar as in this swim here, to fish far side of the current. We can get the tip up in the air. It's got a nice sensitive quiver tip in it as well. I'm either going to go on the link ledger or those very small feeders that I use, tiny little things. I'll dig one out so you can have a look. There we are, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, literally, they're so small, I can just about get my little finger inside. About 1.25 inches long, and yeah, very small. These are just to get some smell in the water. Not going to try and feed the fish. Just going to try and get a bite, one bite at a time, I think, today. Now, with that in mind, I've got some ground bait, just some Sensus 3000 gross gardons. Nice smelly sort of chocolatey ground bait. I do like a fish meal free ground bait when I'm fishing smaller rivers. I find it's more effective, especially fishing for roach as well. I'm interested in catching some roach. Fish meal free is the way to go. May go on the link ledger as well, but all depends what bait we're fishing, what we want to do. Mainstay is going to be bread. Bought plenty of bread today to give bread a good go just behind that feeder. I do find it very successful. So first up is the swim. For a spin you around, where we finished in last time out. If you saw that video, I was stood over there trotting a bait down here into under that raft, and we had those 2 lovely chub out. Now if you haven't seen that video, again, I'll stick a link up there. You can go and have a look at that video. It was practically dark when I was fishing here, which if I keep talking like this, it's going to be soon as well. It's getting on now, mid-afternoon, so I need to crack on. Right, I'm going to set up, get a bit of water in the ground bait, and we'll have a go. Now I'm hoping that the rain has done the river some good. I mean, sometimes, obviously, if it's cold rain, it's not going to do the river much good, not unless it's the summer. In which case I have found cold rain can be very good. But in the winter, certainly not. I'm hoping it's warmed the water up a little bit. But you never know. Throwing a few balls of ground bait in. We'll do the water temperature in a minute. I didn't actually do it when I came last time, but I know it was hovering around the 7 mark recently. So if it's colder than that, then we could be in for a hard session. Now, I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do either today, whether I was going to trot, whether I was going to ledger, whether I was going to go static, whether I was going to rove. So I've kind of covered every base really. I have got my keep net in case you want to stay put in any particular swim. It's a sort of weather at the moment whereby you can perhaps get a swim rocking and it may be worth staying. It's that sort of overcast and obviously murky river. It's one of those days that could be very, very good, but it could be a waste of time. But we'll find out, won't we? Right, let's drop this over there. See if anyone fancies a little bit of a munch. As I say, I've got the tip up here in the air. I hope you can see it, because the flow, we're on the outside of a bend here and the flow's being thrown towards me, creating that slack over there, creating that raft. There's certainly going to be some chub under there, as we found out in the last video. There was certainly a couple, and I stopped after catching 2 because it was so dark. but I don't think it'll take too long to find out whether or not they're in the mood for a munch. I've got my standard running ledger rig on here, which is very, very versatile, and I'll stick a link up there. You can go and have a look exactly how I tie this up. It's very versatile, very adjustable. I find it absolutely fantastic. So all my ledger rods have it on, and that's couples with my own home tied hook links. Again, another video up there if you want to go and see how I tie hook links up. I'll stick a link up there for you. Forgot to mention, actually, I have brought maggots with me. Doesn't particularly look like a maggot river, but if we're really struggling, I've got a pint or so of maggots with me, various colours. Because just never really know with a river like this. Always sat here, we could do the temperature, couldn't we? Get asked quite often about temperature gauges and stuff as well by viewers. But all I've got really is a very, very cheapy one off eBay, about £3. I think it's literally just a LCD display and a probe, and that's just about all there is to it. I'll just lob that in and give you a temperature. Yeah, water temperature is 8.4. That's definitely up on what it has been. Again, not always a great thing to be moving quickly. Fish generally prefer stable conditions. Oh, we're getting some taps now. Just moved out and we're getting some taps. Definitely smaller fish taps. Grab this on my knee. I just prefer to have it on my knee. Nothing doing on bigger baits. Let's go down to a small bit of flake. We'll see if that does anything. Very surprised, really. Getting more attention. Very surprising. Well, didn't even see a bite. We have a tiny little roach. Well, the roach are feeding. Well, this one is anyway. Yeah, didn't even see I had a bite. Oh dear. Back here. Well, hopefully we can catch them a bit bigger than that. It's been very hard going now, I have to say. Surprised we're not getting any bites off any chub, even chublets in here. Very strange indeed. Let me get back on bread. I absolutely love fishing bread. Just dropping that slightly short and let it just run under with the current. Because this river's been up probably another foot on what it is now, looking at it, I'm wondering if the chub is still sat behind it, perhaps out of the way. Might be able to coax them to come out. A bit of smell. going to do is give it an hour in here, see if we can build anything, get anything going. If not, we'll have a move just a bit further down and fish towards that tree there. And we'll move just the other side. Yeah, definitely seems like a small roach. It's not necessarily a bad thing. If we can sort of build the swim up a bit, get things going, I'm sure we'll be getting a small roach every bite if I went on maggot. I'm just going to persevere on bread for now, see if we can pick up anything a bit bigger. But the swim does seem to be snowballing a little bit. Excuse me, God, I'm very croaky. I'm just plopping this in the same place every time. We'll just see, as I say, we'll just see, give it perhaps an hour, see if we can get anything going in, and we're dropping a bit further down. Because whilst we're putting the swim feeder in here, obviously the smell of the bait's wafting down there anyway. Yeah, see, I'm getting bangs and rattles as soon as this goes in now. Clearly getting some fish interested. No, can't get anything going in there at all. Nothing at all, aside from tiny little roach. So, I'm going to have a move a bit further down here, as I said. Just fish towards that next tree down, the one on this near bank. We can always come back here as it gets a little bit darker towards the evening. Maybe that putting that bit of bait in will get things going, but we're certainly going to have a move for now. So swim number 2. Now it's worth mentioning, I've never actually fished this stretch with it in this sort of condition at all, with the river up like this. So it's all a bit of a learning curve, this. But I've trotted a couple of times in this swim and had some roach out and some chub, so they clearly hang about in here. There's a nice flow through here. It's not too fast, not too slow. I've never fished on the bottom in here, so it'd be interesting to see if the fish are still here in these conditions, or whether perhaps they've moved. Certainly not too much flow in there for roach or chub. Just a sort of medium walking pace, really. Nothing too fast at all. My only concern is really with this river, it can be very moody. We're getting some taps in here already. There we go. I was going to say this river can be very moody. It flows through a lot of agricultural land, and depending, it seems to me, this is my interpretation of what happens anyway, but depending what's on sprayed all over the all over the land, depends on whether this river switches off or not. It does quite often switch off. Can be very, very tricky some days. I think I've told the story before, but I was fishing upstream from here once a few years ago, and I went to a stretch I'd been fishing, and the farmer was actually pumping slurry onto his fields. Now, bearing in mind the fields he was pumping them onto were about 30-degree slope, and they went straight down into this river. It wasn't great, as you can imagine, and I blanked that day. Didn't have a bite. Not surprised. Not a surprise at all. So I think it's things like that occurring that can put the fish off. Certainly some fish in here. Difficult sometimes to know what to do. I mean, I could sit here clearly and stick a single maggot on, probably pull a small roach out every minute or so, it's easy to be seduced by bites, isn't it? I have had some nicer fish in here, so it may be worth sticking it out, but they are absolutely battering this bread. Just putting a small bit of bread flake on. I think the size is pretty irrelevant, to be honest. The size of the bread flake. Getting absolutely battered immediately. And if we keep dropping this feeder in the same place, hopefully you may be able to draw up perhaps some of the chub that sure live under that tree. You may be able to draw them up. Well, time for a move. There's nothing happening here at all. Absolutely nothing. Apart from minnows and the odd little roach. Nothing doing. Very strange. I said this river can be a bit weird. It's being very weird at the moment. Very moody. Right, a couple more swims we can try before we go. So we can always come back as well. I do fancy fishing that raft we fished earlier, perhaps when it gets dark. But we'll go and have a try in a couple more places, then we'll come back perhaps. Well, this is rather a different sight to the last time I was here. This is actually a swim. Well, I trotted in a couple of videos ago and I'm catching chub under those trees. I can't imagine I sat under there now. It's boiling and swirling. So a little bit of a backheady bit further down, which maybe some chubbing. There's also this raft in front of me here with scum. I'm just going to drop a bait in here just for 5 minutes or so, just to see perhaps hiding away under there. So I've known chub to hide away under rafts like that in the past. Yeah, just give it 5 minutes. I'm not gone too close to the water because I don't want to spook them. See, I'm in there. It doesn't seem particularly deep, and I'm not really sure there will be anything in there, but you just never know. There seems to be one of those days we're going to be scratching around for bites. I did think it would possibly be quite good today. It does seem we're going to be scratching around for the odd bite or two. So bite from anywhere would be very welcome. So I've never fished in this swim before. We've got a bit of an obstruction there. It's cutting off the flow. There's a bit of a slack area in here, so just walking past, I thought it looks worth 10 minutes. Just perhaps get on the edge of the flow in there. Maybe some fish sitting just out of the current there, hiding away. This river has, as I mentioned, been up, so there may be some fish just still hanging about in the slacker areas before they move perhaps back into the flow over the next few days as it drops. Definitely worth a cast anyway, or two perhaps. Oh, blimey. Not a cast like that though. I'll just drop this out there really. Almost put it in the water. That's it. A bit of depth there. this swim a go, and one a little bit further up as well. We can perhaps try it. Aside from minnows and tiny roach, it's been hard going today. So I'm absolutely gobsmacked. Really, looks in great condition. Well, we've had a little rattle. Clearly, there's something there. Let's just let that tip off a bit. There we go. Finally. We finally had a bite. It took a while. And lots of taps and rattles of smaller fish in here. We've managed finally. Oh, good job. Oh, it looks a nice one as well. That's wonderful. Great stuff. Yeah, I was getting the usual taps and rattles off minnows in here. And then, well, hopefully, as you saw, round it went. Just nicked in the... Not very happy. Absolutely freaking out. Just nipped in the side of the mouth. Just let him have a minute, get his breath back, and we'll have a look at him. Well, there we go. We worked hard for that one. Fantastic. But again, the light's dropping, so perhaps that's got something to do with it. But that's wonderful. Right, I'm going to keep him in the edge here, in the landing net. It's such a quick bite, maybe we can winkle another one out. He's nice and happy there. Well, he's happy in the loosest sense of the word. I can't imagine he's overly happy, but he's perfectly okay. Right, let's try again. Possibly quite telling that he was just on the edge of that faster water, just in the slack. So I thought these fish, kind of getting to know this river a little bit. The more I fish it, it does seem to be that the fish do like to sit in the slacks, even when there's not particularly too much pace on the water. They get in the slacks, obviously, when the river comes up, but they take their time coming back out again. Right, see if there's any more in here. Get this. That's better. Right. Perhaps his big brother's down there. Very defined crease in this swim, where the fast water meets this slack water that's in here in front of me here. Very, very slack in here, just trickling through very gently. But obviously about 3/4 of the river is blocked off, and there's just a channel running on the other side, and the bit between the fast and the slow water is what we call the crease. It's a cracking place to fish, especially when the water's up. the fish will often, they want to be near the fast water because that's what brings them their food. Where the water's flowing along, that'll bring them food, like a conveyor belt. But obviously sitting in that uses a lot of energy. They don't really want to sit in that fast water, so if they can just sit in the slacker water and nip out into the fast water and grab a bit of food as it comes past, and that's perfect really for a fish. Ain't got too much longer left today really. Kind of fish into dark a little bit. There's no night fishing on this stretch, but fish just till it gets dark. I've got my torch with me, we can illuminate the rod tip, but not exactly feeling like I want to at the moment. It's been hard going, but we've managed to winkle a fish out. Perhaps we'll have dusk in that swim we started in. Did look nice swim for a bite. I have fished there, I said once before, and I had a couple of chub out right on dusk, so maybe that they sit right under that tree till it starts to get dark. We may be able to winkle a couple out perhaps. Right, there's nothing else going on here, so let's get this fella back. I think we'll do one more swim and then we'll finish off where we started. Let's see if we can't winkle a last fish out. Fish or two, who knows. Right, let's get this fella back. As I say, he's just been in the net here, resting up for 5 minutes. Come on chap, out you go. Fab. Well, this is not exactly where I was headed. I was headed up to a bend, but just noticed that a bit of cover on the other side looked worth 10 minutes. A nice steady pace through here as well. Just looks, you know, the water's moving but not too fast. And because we're just below a right hand bend, the water on the inside is moving a little bit slower. So yeah, it just looks worth 5 minutes, perhaps 10 minutes. Generally if there's a fish there and they're up for it, you know that quickly really. Try and get this over there without getting in the branches. Sort my feeder out first. I've got a float stop above where my feeder sits to come here, just in case there was lots of debris coming down today, because I knew that the river had been up. So I put a float stop just above on the line there, and the debris will collect on that rather than going down to the feeder and moving it. Obviously it's important that this needs to be able to go across the top, just in case you lose your gear or you get snagged up or something, so you don't leave a feeder and a baited hook together. It just dropped across the top then. It wouldn't come down. It's better. Right, let's stand up for this. Yeah, we'll have 2 or 3 casts just in this swim. Perhaps a bit further down. I've got it in the middle there at the moment. A bit further down and perhaps just above. Just see if there's anything about. Fancy the nibble. God, it's gone cold now. Blimey. Not warm at all. Well, there's definitely some smaller fish there. Judging by that tip, it's banging away. Well, there we go. What's this? I was going to say probably a little chub, but I think it might be a roach. Just about left it. Well, that's not a roach. There we go. Wonderful. I was saying about not using a size 6 hook. Back you go. Well, I think we'll have one more cast before we go. That next swim looks very chubby to me. Looked like a nice run, this does. A nice steady run through here, probably 40 metres or so. Just nice steady run after a bend. Looks the sort of place roach would hang out. Let's just tuck that one right underneath. Right, 5 minutes. So here we are, last chance saloon. I think it's probably our best bet of a fish. Not really any more swims to do, to be honest. This particular stretch. Just hoping that perhaps the fish will start moving as the light starts to go. Plus, you know, with the encouragement of that bait that we've put in for probably half an hour earlier through the feeder. I wouldn't say I'm confident, but I'm hopeful. To be honest, there's not that much flow in here. I could probably get this tip down a little bit, really. Well, curfew time is upon us, and nothing else to report. Stuck it out to the bitter end, and the wind is bitter, I have to say. My fingers are going numb, so I shall be glad to be getting back in the car and going home. But yeah, very, very strange old session. I really did think we're going to fill our boots today, but it's gone completely the other way. And well, as you saw, struggled for a bite. We had a few roach and mostly small ones, and but that nice chub as well, which managed to winkle out. But yeah, tough going. I shall be back though. I shall be back. This river at some point over the next few days will kick off. It'll all kick off here, and certainly want to be sat on the bank at the time when it does. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed that. Tight lines. Enjoy your own angling if you get out there. Hope you do a better job than me. Many thanks to the channel patrons for your fantastic support, and I'll see you all again back on the bank very soon.